Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, unlike other days, I'm going to talk about tax. I've never spoken about anything other than tax on this channel, but that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So this is basically how the recent changes in YouTube slash Google's policies are going to affect you, especially as a content creator outside of the US. So recently, if you are on YouTube, you probably received that email from YouTube, and they're basically saying that Google may begin withholding US taxes on earnings you generate from reviews in the US as early as June 2021. And they have sent um, messages to the different creators asking you to enter your tax information in AdSense as soon as possible. And the implication is that if your tax information isn't provided by May 31st, 2021, Google may have to deduct up to 24% of your total earnings worldwide. Yeah. So guys, it's important for you to um, enter your tax details for you to, at least in case you get tax, you will not have to pay as much tax, because the overall withholding tax that Google is going to charge to YouTube earnings is based on whether or not your country has like a tax treaty with the US. So for example, if you come from a country like Kenya, which currently doesn't have a tax treaty with the US, then you're gonna have to pay 30% of all your YouTube earnings that come from viewers in the US. So let's say you earn 100 US dollars and you have submitted your tax information as somebody who resides in Kenya. Then let's say 50% of the income came from viewers who are based out of the US. So that's like $50 was as a result of viewers based out of the US. So YouTube is going to charge 30% of that money that you earned from US viewers. So like in this example, it's going to be 30% of $50 because that is the income that was generated from US viewers. So that would be like 15%. But let us look at it differently. If let's say you are based in Kenya, you have not submitted your tax information, it's already June 1, for example, and the policy is under implementation. That means your entire, using the same example, let's say you have earned 100 US dollars from your YouTube earnings, you have not submitted your tax information, then your entire 100% is going to be subjected to 24% withholding tax. So they'll just assume that all your money came from US viewers and they're just going to tax all of it at 30%. So you'll have to pay 30 US dollars vis-a-vis in a case where if you had submitted your tax information, it allows Google to separate your viewers depending on where they're based. So if they're based out of the US, and only that income from those US viewers will be subject to tax. Now let's look at it differently. If let's say you are based out of a country like India, for example. India currently has a tax treaty with the US, and that means that whatever income is earned, let's say if it was YouTube, using the same example, let's say I am based out of India, I have earned 100 US dollars from my viewers, and 50% of those views came from the US. So because my country, India, has a tax treaty with the US, then the withholding tax is gonna just be 15%. And since I have submitted my tax information, that will be 15% of the income that I earn from US viewers, which is 50 US dollars, and that comes to about 2.5 US dollars. So guys, it's important that you go and submit your tax information, especially if you are based outside of the US, because it's going to help you to in terms of how much tax you pay. And if let's say you're in Kenya, for example. So recently in Kenya, the Kenya Revenue Authority also introduced a new tax, the Digital Services Tax, which is 5% of all your content creation earnings. So let's say if you have earned $100, so you're gonna have to pay your 5% to the Kenya Revenue Authority, and then you're gonna have to pay the US government the money that has been accrued as a result of people based out of the US consuming your content. So you don't want to be having to pay tax that you don't have to just because you didn't do your part. So do your part, because if you don't do your part, as I've mentioned, if you do not submit your tax information by May 31, 2021, and you're based out of the US, Google is just gonna take a blanket approach and use the entire income that you earn without separating. This is US viewers, this is Kenyan viewers, this is India viewers, and just charge the blanket rate, which is 24% withholding tax. But if you submit your tax information, then when you submit your tax information, they actually tell you to select your country, and based on whether or not your country has a tax treaty with the US, there's a different form to fill. So like, this is what I did, and don't take what I did as blanket, you may need to talk to your tax guy, but personally what I did, I filled the form W8BEN, which was like the default form, because Kenya doesn't, at the time I was filling my tax details, Kenya didn't have a tax treaty with the US, so that's the kind of form I had to fill, form W8BEN. So there'll be two forms, and you'll be asked to fill whichever based on what country you come from. And there's also a list of countries which you can check. If your country is not on that list, then it means your country doesn't have a treaty with the US government. And therefore, in my case, my country at the time I was filling the form, Kenya didn't have the tax agreement with the US government. So I am subject to the 30%, entire 30% withholding tax rate. That is what you have to pay if your country doesn't have a tax treaty with the US government. And the thing is, the beauty is that once you submit your form, I submitted my form W8BEN, immediately, if it gets approved, you'll get an email telling you that your form has been submitted on this date and it's been approved. And once your form is approved, it basically means when you earn money, you can continue getting paid depending on what method you had chosen. And the other advantage is that they will only charge this withholding tax on views that have come from the US. So that's really, really important for you as a content creator, because if you don't fill out the form, they're just going to assume everyone who viewed your videos was from the US, and they're just going to slap with a 24% withholding tax. And this is particularly really bad, especially if you come from a country that has a treaty, and then you're gonna just lose out because you didn't fill in the form. So guys, I would just like to encourage you to fill in the forms so that you do not lose out on your earnings. We work so hard to make our content. We work so hard to create the content. So do your part. It's very simple. When you log into your AdSense account, go to payments, and then under payments, you select settings. And then when you go to settings, just scroll down a little bit, you'll see the place written manage tax info. And when you click on it, you'll just see the form there. And it's very easy. You're basically just entering your full names, your permanent address, your mailing address, and then you're selecting your country and just checking whether you have a tax, your country has a tax treaty with the US government or not. And based on whether you have that, and there's even a place where when you go, they will ask you to check. You can actually check if your country is not on that list, then it means you don't have a treaty, and therefore you just have to suffer the, I call it suffering the 30%, but it's automatic. You will be able to just pick the right form, fill it out, and it takes less than 2 minutes, and you'll get feedback that your form has been accepted. So that's what I wanted to discuss today in terms of these recent changes to tax. So the US tax requirements for YouTube earnings, especially if you are based out of the US, check your email address, check under the notification button on your AdSense account. If you just click on it, you're gonna see notification telling you, so what does it say? Check if additional tax information is required from you. All YouTube creators and partners are required to submit tax information to ensure any applicable taxes on your payments are accurate. Yeah. So if you just click, go to your AdSense and then click on that notification bell, it's just at the top right next to your picture, you will find it there. So well guys, that's it for today. Let me know, have you already submitted your tax information? What country do you come from? Are you benefiting from the tax treaty, or you're like the rest of us who do not have that advantage because of the countries where we come from? That's it guys. Let me know in the comments below what your experience has been, and I definitely look forward to meeting you on the next live. Bye bye.